This is the PMW-500. Those of you familiar with the PMW-700 and maybe the F800 will see some close similarities here. This camera fills a gap in Sony's XDCAM range and offers an alternative choice if you are considering XDCAM but at the highest of recording data rates. It is a 2/3 inch CCD sensor, XDCAM HD422 processing at up to 50 megabits a second, but recording to solid-state memory in one of the two S/S slots. And that's the most interesting bit for me, both as a freelancer and as an owner of a production company. As a cameraman, this ticks the boxes. The quality of the imagery will broaden the acceptability of your material, and then you've got the S/S cards, which is a media and a workflow that many of us are really quite comfortable with now. And of course, you've got 4 hours of recording on board at HD422, and the ability to hot swap the cards for continuous recording. And there are some nice added features and tools too that will make a difference out in the field. Now, as a production company, or indeed as a broadcaster, I can see the choice now offered. You have the top-end feature set of the PMW-700 with professional optical disc, or you've got this, the PMW-500 with S/S cards, both giving you 50 megabits a second. Now, the handling of this camcorder is as you'd expect from Sony and very familiar to most of us. Sony have clearly been listening as they've made a few tweaks that must be the result of talking to us. The functions are very similar to those of you who've used the PMW-700 or maybe even the PMW-350. The 500 is the same size as the 700 but just under a kilogram lighter. It also has improved power consumption, around 33 watts, and that's 10 watts less than the 700, and that'll give you about 3 hours of operation from a BPL-80. Now importantly, this camera ships as a body only, so you can spec your choice of lens, mic or viewfinder. Now I know that viewfinders are something dear to most cameramen, and you've got a choice here. You can have the excellent monochrome one I've got here, or any of the range of Sony viewfinders many of you will have seen on other camcorders such as the PMW-350. So let's talk about pictures. The sensor is the same CCD as the PMW-700, and you'll find the imagery as a very similar quality and look. This camcorder is differentiated from the lower spec PMW-350, which uses CMOS sensors recording at 35 megabits a second.
Trevor's going, she's gone.
The 500 produces lovely pictures, and when displayed on a calibrated HD monitor, the pictures out of the box look superb, sharp, clean of noise, even at moderately low light. Now that's the other thing that I've been impressed by, and that's the low light capability. The sensitivity is rated at f12, and that's about the same as you'll get on the PMW-700. Now there are the usual range of scene files created for this camera that will be made available for download. There's 32 or so that you can select for your taste. Now you also have access to hypergammas and the knee settings to give you the control that you want, or to set up the camcorder for eventual grading in post. Certainly you can get the latitude you'd expect from a top-end camcorder. So what don't you get with the 500? Well, the most significant omission that differs from the PMW-F800 is the user gamma feature. Now I wonder how many people actually make use of this, but you can make the choice if you can live without it. Time-lapse is simplicity itself on the PMW-500 and not a huge drain on the battery in use. As expected, audio is recorded to 4 channels with each channel directly accessed from here on the side, an improvement on the PMW-700. This camera I have here has the slot-in radio mic system. You can put in your legacy analog radio mic receivers in here, or indeed use this lovely piece of kit. It's the digital twin-channel radio mic system, a fantastic flexible piece of kit with complete control of the transmitters, but it does come at a price. Now Sony's XM Pilot system is something I hadn't really heard much about, but I've seen the light. When you fit the wireless transmitter here to your camera, it'll enable you to wirelessly stream proxy video and audio to a producer or PA running a laptop or even a smartphone that's running a dedicated app. Now with that, they can log and add in and out points and metadata, and that is then written back to the clip media on the camera. Now I'm sure this will get many of my clients very excited and should be a big time saver in the edit. And I'm sure we'll be seeing more of this in the future, and I wish it would be available maybe on the EX range as well. I like the S/S workflow. For me, it has advantages over professional disc in that I can give the cards to a wider range of clients and not have to worry about the playout kit that they'll need to ingest my material. In the corporate world, I think this is particularly important. The other big factor, of course, is the cost of ownership. And whilst professional disc is affordable, there is now a greater choice of S/S media available. This means freelancers can make a choice about how they can deliver their footage. This camera is in a unique position in that you can record to a range of formats to the S/S cards. Indeed, you can format the actual media file system to either UDF format, allowing 50 megabits 422, the same as Sony professional disc cameras, or to FAT format, limited to 35 megabits a second and compatible with material shot on the EX range of cameras, the EX3s, PMW-350s and so on. So you have a choice to fit your material into the intended production workflow. You can't mix file system format options, recording modes as Sony calls them, onto the same S/S card. If you slot in a card previously formatted in FAT, for example, it will flag up that you can't record UDF unless you reformat in this camera. That then raises the issue of the choice of S/S card, and for the freelancer, the cost of ownership will dictate your workflows, particularly with the launch of the new 64GB S/S card. S/S cards are now much cheaper, and Sony have given us the choice of the S/S Pro and the cheaper S/S 1 cards, or of course there's the option to use their S/S adapters to insert low-cost memory sticks or SD cards. So it's now down to you to decide which one you use, although Sony do recommend that you use the Pro media, and that is the only media that supports the S&Q slow and quick modes, and that's undercranking and overcranking. Now Sony do produce a couple of external hard drives that sit on the top here, and then they plug in via the spare S/S slot. The biggest drive currently is 120 gigabytes, but please note this records only at 35 megabits a second in the FAT mode and won't allow synchronous recording to the other S/S slot. So if you need synchronous recording, you'll have to look to an alternative like maybe the Nano flash units using the HD SDI output on the back here. And remember, only one connector, unlike the 700. So in summary, the PMW-500 has a robust and very well engineered feel to it. I have no qualms about pushing it in harsh environments, and I'd probably trust it more than maybe a tape-based camera. The images look great, and you have significant control over the look. 50 megabits a second recording to S/S cards makes a compelling offer to me, especially as it is a simple upgrade path for anyone with existing HD 2/3 inch lenses. So with a choice of S/S cards, this makes it a very flexible camera, and it offers a workflow with a fast turnaround. At the suggested selling price, it makes the top of the range imagery much more affordable, which I'm sure will appeal to owner-operators and to broadcasters alike.